What's going on, everyone? Trust the Buzz here. If you're new to the channel, I make Charlotte Hornets content, so if that interests you, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. If you cannot tell by the thumbnail title of this video, in today's video we're going to be talking about something I put together just about who the Hornets pick could maybe end up deciding what the future will look like. Now, you can always make the opposite case for each one, but this is just my opinion. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. I feel as though the different set of players is a good indicator of the moves to follow. You could, like I said, you could disagree. It doesn't necessarily mean just because they choose this one player, this specific thing is going to happen. That's just what I would take it as. And there's reasons for that, and I'll give the reasons, obviously. But I put this on Twitter. I had it as a Twitter thread, but I thought it would be a good idea to bring it here. Also, for me to expand on what I said, because you can only say so much. One, because people don't like to read, and two, because of character limits. Even though I don't think I have character limits. Either way, the point is, let's go ahead and get into it. So I said, what kind of future are the Hornets building? It depends on who they draft at for. And I was talking about let's explore every scenario. So the first one, probably a popular one here, is Ace Bailey. We don't have to read all this. Look, I was in my bag with this one, man. I was very proud of just me being able to, because I always try to approach these things as a fan and don't try to be like over the head with stats or these basketball. But this one, I was like, let me try to get like my journalist thing going. And I think it turned out pretty good. But either way, essentially what I was saying here is that Ace Bailey is not a win now player. If you want, there are people who, I think everybody wants the Hornets to win right now. I think everybody's tired of the Hornets not making the playoffs. Everybody's tired of it being the same thing every year with the Hornets. But I feel as though if you are drafting Ace Bailey, you understand. You have to draft Ace Bailey with the understanding that he may just have a lot of ups and downs. And if you're trying to win, I don't see how he gets that leash that a kind of player like him needs. I think for Ace to really be who we think Ace can be, he has to be one of those guys who get the ball, who make mistakes, and you just live with it. I don't see how you can give him that adequate amount of touches and usage and then also say you're trying to win that season. That's me. Now, I do think he eventually will translate to winning in the future. Luckily for the Hornets, there's a few roles he could be in because he's really good at help side defense, which we'll talk about Ace when it comes time for me to do like his specific episode. But he's good at help side defense. I know that he came in at 6'7", like that's what his measurement was like for his height, but he still plays as though he's like 6'10". So that you have that part of it. He's a scorer. Like that's just what he does. And I just don't see how tossing him in the corner is going to help him be who we need him to be. But I think also it's important for young players to go through that transition of, I was the guy here, I'm kind of a role player here, but then I slowly emerge into this great player. So that path for him is still there, but I think it's just all future sake. Now, one thing I will say, and I mentioned it here, he is definitely better than some of the players we have on the roster. As of right now. Like, now, maybe I shouldn't say better, because it's not like there's some people you would rather him have minutes over, but I wouldn't say better. But it's just one of those, I would rather see Ace Bailey minutes than to see Taj Gibson minutes. I would rather see Ace Bailey minutes than to see, whoever here minutes. I can't even think of everybody. There's a lot of people I would rather see Ace Bailey minutes over, but I'm trying to be realistic. But my point is, there are a lot of players that he could still help out right now, because I think that his ability to score, his ability to shoot from three and kind of create this space when he does these fades, I think he needs to work on overall space creation, but I think he does enough to differentiate what the Hornets are trying to do, which is good because we don't really have anyone that can find their own shot. And while it may be unconventional, I think Ace does a good job of finding his own shot. Sometimes it's a bad shot. He said he practiced those, but overall, I just don't see how you could say you want the Hornets to win, but then they have a guy like Ace just sitting there, because I don't think he's going to be able to give you the minutes you're looking for on a team trying to make the playoffs seriously. Not one, because I think the Hornets can still, I think there's a line, and I don't know where it's at, but there's a line where you could still get a guy like Ace and make the playoffs. The East is extremely weak. It's not as though we're starting from zero. I think that's been said a lot with this rebuild, is that we still have LaMelo, we still have Brandon. We're not like it's not a typical rebuild. So there are ways where the Hornets can just maybe sprinkle some on the top of the roster and then kind of push for a playoff spot, and Ace still can have some solid minutes there. But realistically speaking, I don't know how you give him the attention I think he needs, and the touches he needs to develop what kind. Because you don't give Ace the ball for him to pass it. You give it to him to score, and I just don't see where that comes from if you're trying to focus on making the playoffs. Like I said, the benefactor is that the East is extremely weak, so it still could happen. But that's just me. Once again, it's just me. I like Ace Bailey as a prospect. I still haven't decided who I want, and like I said, I want to give y'all information before I start spewing who I want, because I want everybody to be able to make their own judgment. And when time comes, I'll explain who I want. But I like Ace Bailey. I think he'll be great for the team in the future. I just don't. There's not a marriage between now and winning. It depends if you want that. So you know what I mean. Like, and for me, I'll just say I'll be cool with taking Ace. Let's just say that. Next, we have VJ Edgecombe, who I think that's who everybody wants. He's extremely athletic, a defensive playmaker. Like, he's always getting a hand on the ball. He's always creating disruption. He's always creating chaos, and he's extremely, extremely just magnificent in transition. Like, that's where he thrives. He thrives in just the hectic of the game. Like, if the game's hectic, he's striving. I think out of the potential picks that the Hornets are probably looking at least that I would think they're looking at, for him, I think he might be the best in-betweener. As in, you can get him now, and there's some things he does now that can help you win games if you're trying to be a playoff team, but then you're really banking on what the future looks like. But there's still, like I said, unlike with Ace, I don't think he has that kind of skill set to where he does have a role in like the two timeline kind of thing. I think Ace, his skill set and what you want him to do, it's very, very much related to a tanking team or a team that is looking to blow things up in the future. That, to me, that's what Ace kind of provides. But with VJ Edgecombe, I'm specifically saying for the Hornets. Like, Ace in other places looks completely different than what he would look like with the Hornets. But for VJ Edgecombe, I think he's the good middleman. You really, really, really are hoping that he explodes off into this sub-superstar type player, because he has just like the highlight packages, he has the intensity, he has like a lot of the intangible tools that it takes to be this great player. But there's other things you need him to work on to really get there, because right now I think he plays extremely too fast. I think he's a little too chaotic, but the Hornets need that kind of defender and that kind of playmaker in general on the team. Because we saw with Josh Green, he's not really an event creator. He's just more so a okay, solid defender. And then, you put him in the corner and hit threes. VJ, he gambles, but he makes plays. And I think that's what you're really just looking for, is just getting the ball back. And he's really good at that, in my opinion. He does need to work on his on-ball defending, even though I don't think it's as bad as I've seen people say. But if anything, it's just a mentality thing, because sometimes he is gambling to create that turnover, or sometimes he does take himself out of a play once he goes for like the block or the steal and doesn't get it. He's kind of out. So I think that's something that can be fixed, but I do believe that he gives you enough defensively to where he can compete and help right now, even though, the biggest thing with him is, will that shot ever fall? Because he doesn't have much of a mid-range game at all. So right now you just want him to hit from the corner. And he's solid at the corner, but still, I think you have to do too much manipulation of the numbers to make VJ a good shooter. So I can't sit here and say I'm confident he will be a great shooter at the next level. But what he's able to bring defensively and offensively when it comes to attacking the rim, and just when it comes to adding that chaos to the team and just having someone to have that rim pressure to open up the rest, because he's a solid passer. Like, he's not a great passer, but he's a solid passer. So if we have shooters around him, because with him, he's either going to, come off a screen and do a catch and shoot three, or he's attacking the rim. He doesn't have like any other versatility to his offensive game. But if he can just add that like pass when he drives and the defense collapse, and we have shooters around him, I think even in his rookie year, without him developing his own shot, it's enough to, impact right now. So I think he's a good middle person when it comes to saying you want to win, but also, making a selection at 4. So next we got Trey Johnson. Trey Johnson, to me, and I really like Trey Johnson. There's not too many college players that score the way he does. Like he's just a flamethrower in every sense of the word. And as I mentioned here, he's an excellent player. 6'10" and 3/4 wingspan. His defense isn't where VJ Edgecombe is, but he has definitely the wingspan to do that. You just gotta see if he dials in. His shooting, it's unmatched. We know what his shooting is. I haven't done my full breakdown to where I have all the numbers and stuff in front of me, but just know he's a great shooter. So my biggest thing with Trey Johnson is just, will that defense, translate to the NBA? Because right now it's pretty non-existent, but at Texas, we need you to shoot the ball. So it's maybe based on what they were asking for. I feel as though Trey Johnson is the kind of player where he can help you now because of his 3-point shooting. Because he's going to take a lot of pressure off Melo and Brandon Miller on the perimeter. My biggest thing is just, if he's not hitting, because he's a rookie, he's going to go through a slump. He's a shooter. He's going to go through a slump. If he's not hitting, what else does he provide you in terms of helping right now? That's why, to me, he has this potential set. To me, Ace could be a potential. Ace could be a superstar. He has kind of what it takes to be a superstar. You can see the mold of it. And I think Trey Johnson is maybe a couple levels under that, just because his scoring is so amazing. He's always going to have a spot in the league. But you wonder, if his shot is not falling, especially as a rookie, what else does he bring? And it's not much. Now, for the Hornets, where this still fits in is that even if you're trying to win, you need shooting. We desperately need shooting. That's the Trey Johnson special. So it would still benefit him on this particular roster. But when you think about trying to make the playoffs, what can he do? And I know that who we pick shouldn't deter us from making a playoff. I'm just trying to be as realistic as possible. I'm not trying to put my brain around it. I'm not trying to take what other people have said. I'm just looking at analyzing how the Hornets have moved in the past, even with this new front office, and just how teams move in general, and basing it off that. So bear with me here, but I just don't see how you get a guy who is going to be completely reliant on how hot or cold he is getting real playoff minutes. And I know, like I said, it shouldn't be based on who we drafted to decide whether or not we're going to make the playoffs, but we're just got to be realistic and think about what kind of moves the Hornets are going to make after this draft. And I think if you draft Trey Johnson, you're still preparing for the future, because he's going to be electric. Don't get me wrong. He can be your third, second best scorer easily. And who knows? We need that. Brandon Miller, I think you feel a little more confident with Trey Johnson if Brandon Miller was more so the defender we expected him to be. His first year, he was okay. It was okay, I can see the potential that we thought he would be. But that second year before he got injured, he did not look the same defensively. So you don't know what you have. And then him basically not being able to do basketball activity for a while, you don't know what you have with Brandon Miller to be comfortable with LaMelo, Brandon, and Trey Johnson. I'm not saying Trey Johnson will automatically start, but I am tired of not. I'm not saying he's deserving. I'm not saying that he's deserving to start, but I'm tired of drafting people and then saying they have to come off the bench. If that's your guy, you believe in him, and there's no one better in that position, or you rather see those minutes, just put him there. We did it with LaMelo, we did it with Brandon. Doesn't make any sense. Just put him in the starting lineup. We're not good. We just won 19 games last year. Once again, I'm not saying he's deserving. I'm more so just saying, if that's the case, if he is having a good camp or whatever, let's start our rookies. We're not good yet. So, unless you prove otherwise. But anyway, my point is, Brandon Miller's not quite the defender you want him to be. So I think if you're drafting Trey Johnson, I think that's also an indicator of either LaMelo or Brandon. And we've seen in reports that LaMelo would be the one that would more than likely be gone if something were to happen. Okay, I'll make sure I can go through the others. But we'll see. I just feel like Trey Johnson is another scorer, and if you get Trey Man, and you can always use scoring, but I don't know. I just feel as though Trey Johnson still is more of an indicator for the future. Not saying he's a bad pick. I'm just saying that if you were trying to specifically, like people are saying, how can the Hornets be good next year? If you're specifically trying to win next year and then kind of like slowly build off that, I don't know, based on what we know right now about the Hornets roster and everything, I don't know how much he helps in that regard, outside of just being an extremely solid shooter, which every team needs shooting. He could be one of those guys that'd be big in the regular season and then maybe lose minutes in the play. I don't know, but I'm just saying that right now that rookies come in with what they do best, and right now him having the ball and putting up shots is his best. Where does that kind of fit with what we got? I don't see it. Not saying it won't ever fit. It's just saying like we're trying to immediately translate to winning next year. And then I think the last one I have is Kon Knueppel. So to me, in this, I was thinking about doing like my hot takes video when we got around in time for me to be more upfront with my takes. But right now, I will just go with this one. And then you'll probably hear me say this again in the video if my mind doesn't change. But right now, you cannot tell me you want to win next year and then be disgusted by the sight of Kon Knueppel. To me, I don't see. I'm not saying he has to be your guy. Like I said, I think Ace has a space, even though it's a little more limited. I definitely think VJ probably is the second best in terms of what can he do right now to help this team. I think VJ will be second. Trey Johnson would be last. But I think everybody I think has some skills. It's just a matter of who will be used more. And because I think for Trey Johnson and Ace Bailey specifically, it will be more kind of like gap minutes and not real, like you want those gap minutes to be valuable, but it's not going to be real solid do something for us minutes, as opposed I think VJ and to a bigger extent Kon, they will have more minutes where it's all right, we need you to make plays during this time. With Kon, he just does everything extremely well. He's a good shooter, good playmaker, solid defender. I mean, his floor is really high. His floor is extremely high, and that's why I feel as though he can help you win right now, this second. I don't see a world where you want to win and then be just don't want to hear any opinion about Kon, because I'm seeing a lot of that. It doesn't make sense to me. I am not saying he should be your pick. I don't really even think he's my pick. I am just saying that I don't understand how you can't see the correlation between what he does and winning. He's probably one of the best shooters in the draft. I think he's second behind Trey Johnson, just because Trey Johnson, the way his shots look, it's just crazy. Like, he can create something out of nothing. So, creation standpoint, you will have to go to Trey as a better shooter. But Kon, you know where he's going to be. You know what kind of player he's going to be. And I think that the Hornets need guys like this. I made another post somewhere that saying that the Hornets need guys like this. Every team needs guys like this. And the thing is that what I've learned after watching the NBA, last couple of years, even closer, is that at every point in every rebuild, there is a pick like this where you're maybe not going for the highest potential. You may not be going for the guy that, has superstar status. You're just going for the guy that can help your team win games. I think that the Hornets are close to that. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we're there to pick a guy at 4 like Kon. Trade back, yes. I definitely would feel better about it. And I wouldn't even be mad if they picked him at 4. I just don't think the team is ready for a low floor guy when I truly believe, and whatever, I'm messing up my whole idea here just because I don't want to just be overbearing with my taste, and then y'all can't make a decision on your own by listening to me yap all the time. But I think the team is a year away from imploding, whether that's purposely or unpurposely. It doesn't matter. I think the team is a year away from imploding. If we have another season like the last couple seasons, imploded. If we have a season where the team just does not look good, let's say we're healthy, we're just not good, imploded. Or they trade LaMelo, imploded. I think our team is a season away from imploding. And that's why I don't think we're ready for a guy like Kon. Just because of the fact that once you start, because once this team implodes, you got to start moving people. And I don't think you want to restart with a kind of master of none, but he can shoot really well type of guy, and then Brandon Miller. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a good start. But if you didn't build him for years after, it's just like Kon is not. He's a type of player that's ready to win now. He has that type of talent. You can put him anywhere. You can have him run the offense in spurts. You can have him play solid defense. He is not your typical 3-point specialist. I don't think so. He's not your typical 3-point specialist. But I would rather have, if the team has imploded and all I have left is Brandon Miller and another player, I would rather have, and Tajon Salon, you know he's going to be there. That's not me saying, I'm just saying that they're going to spend the 6th pick on the guy. He's going to be there if the team implodes. But anyway, you cannot give me Tajon and Brandon Miller and Kon Knueppel and say, all right, these are your building blocks. Not, like I said, I think Kon's a good player. I just don't think that that's how you want to restart your team. However, I feel much better about Brandon Miller and VJ, Brandon Miller and Trey, Brandon Miller and Ace. Like, I feel much better about starting with that than starting with Brandon Miller and Kon. But if this team wants to win, you have to consider Kon, because he's going to do a lot of things that maybe you don't have guys to do. But like I say, he plays solid defense. He's a good playmaker. He can run an offense. I've seen him do it. When Cooper Flagg was out, and he did it for the rest of the ACC tournament. Like, Kon can run an offense. He's an elite 3-point shooter. He gets to the rim. Like, he's a high IQ secondary ball handler, as I mentioned. I think he's a very reliable guy. I just don't feel as though we're ready for that kind of player. That's it. That's kind of like my thing. I can say what I said about, I don't see how you could not want him and win at the same time, but I don't think we're ready to win. I don't think we're ready for that yet, because for me, next year there has to be some type of true improvement with this team, with our result as far as the season. And if there's not, I don't think you can say, well, you know, in 2027 we have the 2026 pick, and now we got LaMelo and Brandon and Miles, who will be expiring at that point. Hopefully Mark, like, you know, you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't see how you can get a player like Kon when we're that close from everything going wrong. I just don't see it. Now, there's improvement next year, and another guy like Kon, like, I had to do my full draft. Like, I think everybody at the top has like very good potential on being this almost star type player, unlike this draft. But next year, if a guy like Kon comes along, I may be elated to get him if we have the improvement. We should see improvement. I'm saying that now. Like, I'm saying we should see improvement, but I'm also being realistic, and I don't think we will. I truly do not think we will. And I'm not even asking for much improvement. If we miss the playoffs just because we're not that good of a team, but we were close, I can live with that. But like what we've been experiencing the last 3 years, completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable if you're not restarting. And if you're not restarting, then what? I mean, if you are restarting, why are we holding on to LaMelo, as I've said? So I'm not trying to be a broken record, but I think each of these players means something for this team. Sorry, I kept scrolling. But I think each of these players means something different for the team. I think you can't look at the Hornets getting Ace Bailey or Trey Johnson and expecting them to do anything to win. Because even after drafting them, there are other moves that need to be made to make this team formidable. I don't think they will do that if they chose those two players. VJ is a different story, and I like VJ in terms of he can do both. If the team does implode, we still have VJ. If the team is trying to be good, we have VJ's defense and his rim pressure until he learns to develop that mid-range and that three-pointer. Which you can mess with the numbers there and see the three-pointer, but if I have to do too much, then it's not there to me. So there's hope they can get it right. So that gives you hope for the future if you are in a situation where, dang, now we're left with nobody. We had to trade LaMelo, whatever. But his defense right now and his rim pressure is good enough, especially considering the names on our roster, is good enough to, I would feel like the Hornets should maybe think about making additional moves to help this team have some type of presence when it comes to past December at least. So I think that there's a route there for VJ and definitely for Kon. Now, if you draft, let's say they draft Kon at 4, and then we'll get out of here. Let's say they draft Kon at 4. You cannot draft Kon at 4 and then tell me, all right, in 2 years we'll be ready. That would be stupid. That would be the stupidest thing I've ever seen a team do. So I don't think there is a path where you draft Kon and then say, oh, we're still building through the draft. We're still trying to collect assets. No, you draft Kon and within 2 years you should be in the playoffs. Like, he's that level of floor raiser, in my opinion. But these other guys, they're going to take a little more time. However, in 3 to 5 years, they may be superstars, some of them. So, with saying that, I think each of these players take a different path. And I'm interested to see what that path is. I am negative. I'm pessimistic, fine. I don't see the Hornets trying to win next year by making additional moves. I could see them winning because at the end of the day, as I've been saying, East is weak. We have LaMelo, we have Brandon, we have Miles, we have, I can't say Grant just because like he's going to be out half the season, but we have Mark, we hopefully have Trey. Like, that's 5 names right there that are decent enough in the weak East to get you at least flirting around with the play-in. And then you add the rookie who I don't think it matters who the rookie is. They're going to they're going to play them. It's just a matter of what that role for them looks like. And I think all these guys, even though I've said, pros and cons for each, I think all these guys can help this team in their own way. It's just a matter of, their full potential. So, yeah, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I'm very curious to what the Hornets do. Like I said, they could draft Ace and then, make a trade to everybody and then make a very solid team, and then Ace is just kind of learning. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just being realistic. Haven't seen this team do it. I don't think they're going to do it. It can be done. I've seen teams do it. I don't think we're the team to do it. And that same could be said for Trey Johnson. Like I said, I think VJ and Kon are your 2 where you should feel comfortable that something's on the horizon. With Ace and Trey, I don't think so. Unless what happens at 3 changes everything. We'll see. But once again, thank you so much for watching. Sorry this video was so long, but I just want to talk about these players because I do feel like it's important to understand that a path can be taken. And once again, I'm not projecting. I'm just basing on how our team moves. And though that's where what I'm saying comes from. That's where my opinions come from. They're not opinions of this is what I think we should do. It's just a matter of where I actually just believe where the team is going. Because if it feels up to me, we would be able to choose a guy like VJ or Kon and then go. Like, I think VJ would be a good pick because, like I said, he gives you the now and the future. So if you want to make the playoffs and then you hit this level where, all right, now we're tired of only making it to the first round or whatever, and hit this next level, by that point, he should be ready to, jump with the team. So there's just different paths here that they could take, and I'm very interested in what they do. I'm very interested to see what you think. But thank you, and I'll see you guys next time.